Okay, welcome everyone to Sunday Poetry. We're continuing in our ongoing, never-ending haiku workshop.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, thank you. Everybody ready to rock some three lines?
Let's rumble.
Good. We need Louisa. We need you to lead us in a cheer. B-A-S S-S-S-H-O B-A-S-S-H-O. Go Basho.
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 Go Basho. Okay. Okay. We're having too much fun. Let's get serious. All right. So. All right. Here we go. Everyone seeing this?
Yes.
Okay. Pine branches thrashed by wind, their north face mossy gray, sitting close, my dog leans in. Pine branches thrashed by wind, their north face mossy gray, sitting close, my dog leans in. Okay, talk to me about this. What's the first question we ask?
Can I see it? Can I feel it?
Yeah. Can I see it? Can I feel it? Is the situation clear? Is the literal situation crystal clear? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Seems crystal clear to me. You seeing it? You feeling it? Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. What about the language that's being used? Is the language concrete, specific, clear?
Boy, come on. It's nice and cold here. Yeah, it's cooler here. Good boy.
Scott?
Scott, where
does
are
that-
you? That's
Scott,
so
does that
funny.
dog have a Buddha nature?
No mute there. Okay.
Correct. Hi, Scott. Okay, come on. Help me out. Don't make me do all the work here. Is the language here concrete? Come on. This is not hard. Is the first word concrete or abstract?
It's concrete.
Thank you. Come on, everybody, jump in. I need some help here.
Well, the
Reread it.
Pine branches thrashed by wind, their north face mossy gray, sitting close, my dog leans in.
Thank you.
Are there any abstractions there?
yeah, the last two words are potentially abstractions. Maybe.
Can you visualize leaning in?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I think what led you to speculate that it might be abstract is that's the verb. Mostly we've got a couple of verbs there. Yeah, leans in. No, okay, maybe we have to talk more, get more clear about the difference between abstract and concrete. Okay. Concrete means concrete means we're seeing the things of the five senses. Okay, we're seeing the things of the five senses. We can see it, or we can hear it, or we can taste it, touch it, smell it. Can we see pine branches? Is that something we can see? Yeah, it's also something we can smell. Thrashed by wind, we can see. Abstract talks to the mind rather than the five senses. Okay. So if we say, okay, well, just notice, just notice when I say the following words, whether whether you can within yourself see, hear, taste, touch, or smell something. Cotton candy. Can you smell? Okay, senses or mind?
Senses.
Everyone, shout.
Senses.
Thank you. Okay, therefore, concrete. Delicious.
Senses.
Abstract.
It's abstract.
Yeah, abstract.
Okay? If we say sweet, that's concrete. If we say juicy, concrete. If we say sticks to the roof of my mouth, that's concrete. If we say delicious, that's an abstract intellectual idea, maybe derived from or distilled from concrete experiences, but it's not concrete. All right. If we say better than, the cotton candy was better than the hamburger. Concrete or abstract?
Abstract.
It's abstract. That's an intellectual judgment, right? Can you see it? Can you visualize better than? No. Maybe you can visualize some concrete characteristics because it's bigger, it's more colorful or that, but then that's an intellectual judgment, an abstract judgment that judges it to be better than. Okay, so this is a really important distinction, not just for writing, but for just in Dharma terms, because that which is concrete, the senses have a way of keeping us honest, right? We can. I think we talked about this last week. God, I just read. The COVID news. Every time I think it can't get crazier, it gets crazier. I read this piece in the Times the other day about the huge outbreaks in Arkansas, and they start with these three cases, three individuals in some towns called Mountain something, Arkansas. One person didn't get vaccinated because she said, well, I never get sick. Okay. Another person didn't get vaccinated because I said, well, I think I'm okay as long as I always wear a mask. And another person didn't get vaccinated for some other lame reason. Okay. They all three are wound up with COVID in this hospital that in the small town in Arkansas that's now overrun with COVID cases, breathing on ventilators, right? It came close to dying, and all three still say they would not get ventilated. And the one of them who just, had to get oxygen, all that, said, well, no, I still wouldn't get it. It's too new. Right? Now, as far as I can see, this is an abstraction, an abstract idea. Oh, it's new, it's dangerous, all this, that's keeping them from noticing some fairly vivid concrete experiences of the senses, like I can't freaking breathe. Okay.
So then would you call fear is an abstraction?
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question. Can you, if you had to assign fear to one of the five, do you experience fear?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. If you had to assign that experience of fear to one of the five senses, Lisa, what would it be?
Oh my,
How do you know you're afraid of something?
it's visceral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And visceral means what?
You're seeing it.
You may not be tangibly seeing it with the eyes.
What
But
does the
you're
word
feeling
visceral literally mean?
in the viscera, in
In
your
the viscera,
organ.
in your guts.
Right.
Now you don't see your
Guttural.
guts, but you feel stuff in your guts.
Yeah.
Right? When you feel fear, you feel a tightening in the pit of your stomach, or an elevation of your heart rate, or perspiration of your hands, or all of the above, and maybe three other things. Right? Now, where it gets confusing is that people will often use words about feelings. Notice they're called feelings because they feel certain ways. They're visceral,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I feel joy, to me, it's like this champagne effervescence around the top of my cranium, this kind of feeling of lightness. Okay. It's a feeling, my wife hates when I say this, but I'm going to say this. It's just between you and me and anyone that watches this video. When you've had a really perfect bowel movement, you know how you feel light, and you feel just and you feel like the sun has gotten brighter and your step has gotten lighter, and right? That's visceral, right? Joy is kind of like that, like having a great dump. Okay.
I'm
Now,
with Yafa.
say it again, Scott.
I'm with Yafa on that one.
You're with Yafa on that one. I should. Okay. All right. I'll never say it again. But where the confusion comes is people will often talk about feelings when they're not really having feelings. They're really having thoughts. Like there's, I mean, probably 80 or 90% of when people say, well, I want to talk about my feelings. I think a whole lot of when people talk with their therapist or they talk with their friend. Well, I feel that what they're talking about is not really feelings, it's thoughts. Okay. This is where mindfulness practice, satipatthana, comes in, which is, the Buddha described it, experiencing body as body, experiencing thought, sensations as sensations, experiencing thoughts as thoughts, experiencing feelings as feelings. That simple thing, getting that straight, is because we blur it together. And what blurs it together? Our thoughts. So the thoughts win out. And thoughts can spin stuff into any kind of bullshit that they want. That's how politicians and advertisers are able to work their magic.
So in the context of haiku,
Mm-hmm.
Or if I was in meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and going deeper into sensing, whether I was abstracting into thought or whether I could sit with what arises.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in haiku, I couldn't say butterflies, and I could say butterflies in my stomach. I wouldn't say that. I would say a grip in my stomach or something,
or better yet, what made you feel the fear? Let's say hypothetically, you hear a noise that you think is a bear approaching your campsite.
Mhm.
So better yet, if you can do it in a couple of words, make me hear the sound of the bear and let me feel the fear. So give me the direct sensory input so that then I can have the feeling on my own. That's the ideal. That's the
Wow.
that's the Hemingway technique.
Right, right. So then the reason I brought up fear, not to
Yeah.
go too far into this, is, you mentioned those people in Arkansas who wouldn't go on a ventilator, so.
No, they went on the freaking ventilator at great expense to everyone else, but they said they wouldn't get vaccinated
Okay.
even after that experience.
No, but no, there's a fear of being ventilated, I mean, that can be,
Mhm.
a really frightening experience,
Sure.
you know.
I think what's more frightening is when you can't breathe and you die.
Yeah.
I would think. So you've heard me mention Hemingway several times before in connection with this. Most of you heard, the great opening, the first page of A Farewell to Arms. In the late summer of that year, we lived in a house in the village that looked across the river and the plain to the mountains. In the bed of the river, there were pebbles and boulders, dry and white in the sun, and the water was clear and swiftly moving and blue in the channels, etc. Concrete, concrete, concrete. And notice how does he do it? Nouns, 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 and occasional adjectives that are solid and objective so that they sound like nouns. They feel like nouns even though they're adjectives. Dry, white, dusty. But the adjectives you won't hear there are beautiful. He doesn't say there were huge boulders and tiny pebbles, just there were boulders and pebbles. That's if you have the right nouns, they speak for themselves. You don't need a bunch of breathless adjectives to try to hype them up. Okay. Now, later in the book, after our hero, Frederick Henry, has been through some horrific war experiences, including getting hit by, and all this actually happened to Hemingway, getting hit by mortar fire and his leg badly injured. And he's driving an ambulance for the Italian army in the Great War, the First World War. And just things are it's getting clearer and clearer how just awful and absurd the war is. And he's having a conversation with this Italian soldier, Gino, and Gino says, they're talking about how many of their people have died, and Gino says, well, what happened the sacrifices that have been made cannot be in vain. Right? He's like making a patriotic speech. So here is what happens next. Right. So this guy Gino says, we won't talk about losing. There is enough talk about losing. What has been done this summer cannot have been done in vain. Right. Then the book goes on. I did not say anything. I was always embarrassed by the words sacred, glorious, and sacrifice, and the expression in vain. We had heard them, sometimes standing in the rain, almost out of earshot, so that only the shouted words came through. What he's describing there is standing at attention with the other troops while, an officer is making a big speech to get everyone riled up. Meanwhile, you're standing there in the rain. Right? And this beautiful thing, so that only the shouted words came through, right? You hear how futile it is, how they have to shout to be heard, and how kind of ridiculous it makes it, right? But he doesn't say ridiculous. That would be, right? He lets us get the experience. We had heard them sometimes standing in the rain, almost out of earshot, so that only the shouted words came through, and had read them on proclamations that were slapped up by bill posters over other proclamations, right? They post bills all over the towns. We're going to win. We're going to beat back the right. And then, oops, that doesn't do. So they got to put new posters over the old ones. Right. See, but you see how this is all conveyed concretely. And I had seen nothing sacred, and the things that were glorious had no glory. And the sacrifices were like the stockyards at Chicago if nothing was done with the meat except to bury it. Ooh, isn't that brutal? Okay, you all know what the stockyards at Chicago are? It's the trains come from all over the Midwest, and in Chicago, they all come together, and they, the cattle cars come in, and right there where they unload the cattle onto the ramps, they got slaughterhouses right there. So the cattle are led from all over the Midwest, straight down the ramp, straight into the slaughterhouses, slaughtered, butchered. So you see, here's his comment on the war. What is the war like? It's like a huge, massive slaughterhouse. If after slaughtering all these animals, you buried the meat, no one even gets a good fucking sandwich out of it. Right? That's powerful. That's powerful. And you see what he's indicting here is abstraction. What leads people to participate in something so absurd? Abstract words like honor and glory. And whoops, I lost my place. He goes on with it. Yes. There were many words that you could not stand to hear. And finally, only the names of places had dignity. Certain numbers were the same way, and certain dates, and these with the names of the places, in other words, where the battles happened. And these with the names of the places were all you could say and have them mean anything. And now here we go. Abstract words such as glory, honor, courage, or hallow were obscene beside the concrete names of villages, the numbers of roads, the names of rivers, the numbers of regiments, and the dates. Okay, so there you have it. It's not just a matter of writing style, this abstract versus concrete. It's a matter of life and death. Okay, so having said that, let's get back to this. Pine branches thrashed by wind, their north face mossy gray. By the way, I just finished writing my Hemingway chapter for this book, so I'm full of Hemingway. Did I mention last week the new Hemingway documentary
Yes.
on PBS? Yeah.
And we're in the middle of watching it right now. It is excellent. It is so good.
Isn't it? Yeah. And the way it opens with his handwritten manuscript of the first page of Farewell with the corrections, where you can see his process. I mean, to me, that's completely thrilling. Pine branches thrashed by wind, their north face mossy gray, sitting close, my dog leans in. We got to move along a little bit here. So I'm going to say, I really love this. This is a real haiku, isn't it? You hear, do we get the Kensho in the third line? Is there some silence, some suspension in the third line? Yeah, my dog leans in. Right? There's this noisy stuff, the branches, the wind, right? Sitting close, my dog leans in. Boy, that's just you can feel the silence there. What would I maybe think about trying here? I would take another look at that word thrashed. It's nice and vivid. It's very concrete. For haiku, it may be a little bit over vivid. We tend to go with understatement. It's a little bit dramatic. We tend to this is why, again, Hemingway does not say the huge boulders, the tiny pebbles. It's a little bit dramatic. He just leaves. What if we just leave this out? Pine branches in the wind. That might be enough. It's not quite as active, but You know, so these are the trade-offs. These are the things. Again, I'm not going to give you. I don't know the answers here, but these are the questions to be in the habit of asking. Their north face, mossy gray, sitting close. My dog leans in. Yeah, you get the dog is sitting close to you. You know, it's there's the fear. You've conveyed the fear. The dog sitting close. Huh? What's all this commotion without saying it? That's magic. That's magic writing. When you make us see it and feel it without having to say it. The aluminum can opened with a hiss and a crack, bubbles plinked against the sides. The aluminum can opened with a hiss and a crack, bubbles plinked against the sides. Actually, I just noticed this person used the British spelling, aluminium. By the way,
I didn't notice that.
do you know why the Brits say aluminium and Americans say aluminum? It was a typo. The word was aluminium, and the first aluminium mining company in the US, when they had their stationery made, the stationer made a mistake, left out the I, but now they had a whole pile of this stationery with the wrong spelling and they decided to use it. And true story. Okay. Okay. Concrete or abstract?
Concrete.
Oh man, this is concrete in spades. Yeah, totally concrete. Right? There is one aspect of it that is not the way we do it in haiku. Anyone see what it is? It's a very kind of simple technical thing. What's the verb tense here?
Past.
Present.
What's the verb tense?
Oh, open.
Past.
It's past. It's past. Haiku's always in the present.
Right.
Right? Because it's putting the reader in the immediacy of the present moment. So the aluminum can opens with a hiss and a crack, bubbles plink against the sides. Now, can you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see? This is not just some, dare I say it, abstract, meaningless rule. You feel how much more immediate it is. It's more like you're there, you're experiencing it. The aluminium, I like it. I like the American better because it's shorter. The aluminum can opens with a hiss and a crack, bubbles plink against the sides. See, now this writer's really paying attention, just drawing us into that close observation. Right? Nice stuff, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to consider? The aluminum can opens.
It works for us, or where the experiencer is.
Does the aluminum can open? How does it get open? You know, my wife and I have a running joke. You say that coffee's not going to drink itself. Does the aluminum can open itself?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So it's just, this is just a little funny syntax thing, but I would consider changing it to, opening the aluminum can. Opening the aluminum can. So that way, at least there's the implication of the poet, the observer, doing that. Otherwise, it's just, to me, so as the reader, it's a little distracting that it's implying that the can opens itself. With a hiss and a crack. That's good, isn't it? That's really paying attention.
Yep.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
really good.
that is perfect. That is perfect. Well, you know it when you see it, right? Okay. Actually, that reminds me of something else in this book. If I can find it, the hero Frederick Henry winds up in this love affair with this British nurse, Catherine Barclay, and but when he first goes to see her before they're really involved, hang on one sec, if I can find it. Here it is. So he goes to the military hospital to visit Catherine Barclay, and they go for a walk. We looked at each other in the dark. I thought she was very beautiful, and I took her hand. She let me take it, and I held it and put my arm around under her arm. No, she said. I kept my arm where it was. Okay, so you're visualizing if his arm is around under her arm, where is it? Where is it? Right? It's heading chestward, I believe. No, she said. I kept my arm where it was. Why not? No. Yes, I said. Please. I leaned forward in the dark to kiss her, and there was a sharp, stinging flash. She had slapped my face hard. Her hand had hit my nose and eyes, and tears came in my eyes from the reflex. Now, you see what's going on with the sequence there? Yes, I said, please. I leaned forward in the dark to kiss her, and there was a sharp, stinging flash. What is that sharp, stinging flash?
Slap on the face?
Yeah, it's the impact of being slapped. Why doesn't he just say, she slapped me and I felt a sharp, stinging flash? This sounds backwards the way he says it. Why does he say it in this sequence?
It's how it happened.
It's how he experienced it because it's dark.
Oh, so he did, yeah.
He can't see the slap coming. He just all of a sudden he feels this sharp, stinging flash, and there's this moment of what the hell? And then notice he uses the past perfect tense. She had slapped my face hard. Right? He realizes 1 second later, after the fact, what had happened. You all following that? Right? I leaned forward in the dark to kiss her, and there was a sharp, stinging flash. She had slapped my face hard. Her hand had hit my nose and eyes, and tears came in my eyes from the reflex. So what made me think of that is this, with the hiss and a crack, right? The sequence, it's maybe only a fraction of a second from one event to the next, but that's how close in we're zoomed here, right? And when the writer gives you that, it's ooh, I've heard that 1,000 times, but I never heard it, right? When you can make a person really see or hear or smell or taste or touch the thing they've experienced 1,000 times, but not experience it, then you got something going. Nice. Moon reflection on the lake, rising my eyes to see moon is not, oh, wait a minute. I want to mention, we could use a little bit of punctuation.
Dean?
Yes.
Just on that last one, I didn't have any, there was no Kensho, right?
Well, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me just do what I'm doing here. So
Okay.
I just want to say I would consider adding a dash here at the end of it, right? Just for that little break before sitting close. My dog leans in. Yeah, here I wouldn't do it. You see, there's no break. Okay, so now we get to Scott's question. Is there a Kensho in the third line?
With the aluminum can
Yeah,
one.
yeah, in the aluminum can one. What do you all think?
Well, what I like about this one is, like you said, it's something so simple, so, you know, non-extraordinary, and yet it's become bubbles plinking. For me, there is an effervescence just in the sound and the anticipation of what I'm going to drink. So
Mhm.
it's, you know, kind of, again, elevating something very pedestrian into, you know, into something really special.
Yeah, yeah. It's seeing the specialness of the non-special, the extraordinariness of the ordinary. That's what haiku is all about. And the reason that's important to us as Dharma practitioners is that's what awakening is all about. We don't have to climb the highest mountain. We don't have to swim the 7 seas. We just take a walk around the block, and that's a miracle. We don't need the sun. We don't need people to walk on water for it to be a miracle. We have people swim or people sink in the water, and that's a miracle. It's the miracle of existence as it is, the miracle of things as they are. And you know, to the awakened eye, it's miraculous every moment. You know, this takes us back to William Blake, right? Seeing a world in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wildflower, or seeing infinity in bubbles plinking against the sides. This is working for me. You know, you got and the crack, and then the plink plink that just, it's so fine. Plink 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 plink. Your awareness has been so drawn into that. And there's those bubbles plinking. I mean, really, it's like, I feel like I've been delivered to another plane here. That's Kensho enough for me. I'll go with that. Okay. Moon reflection on the lake, rising my eyes to see, moon is not wet. Moon reflection on the lake, rising my eyes to see, moon is not wet. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
One little, just to, for starters here, just one little grammatical thing, we would say raising my eyes to see. Rising is an intransitive verb. Raising is the transitive verb. When you raise something, when you rise, but if you're going to elevate something else, you raise it. So we would say raising my eyes to see. Okay, we see
Yeah,
what's,
I can see it.
yeah,
see it.
totally. And it's interesting. It's an interesting moment of experience. Oh, of course, that's the question we have to have. All of these have been lovely so far in terms of presenting us with the moment, putting us right there in a present moment. They've all been lovely in terms of being concrete rather than abstract. Yeah, and here's this, and it's interesting. We get this little insight into the mind, right? We're seeing, you know, one other just little kind of a grammar or syntax thing, really, I would say, is I would consider moon reflecting on the lake, right, rather than moon reflection. Makes it more active. Moon reflecting on the lake, raising my eyes to see, moon is not wet. So you see, what's unspoken here is the expectation. You know, it's a lovely little joke almost, isn't it? You know, like the experience, it's like we're so saturated or so marinated, so to speak, in the experience of this watery reflected moon, that it's kind of, it's like, well, we got to check, is the moon really wet? And actually, now I think of it, this would be, again, these are just questions to ask. This might be another way to try doing it. What if we say, what if we say reflected? What if we say reflected moon in the lake? Rather than moon reflecting on the lake.
Yeah, doesn't, that to me makes it more abstract, kind of, somehow. It's saying that it's in, I don't know, there's something more magical about moon reflecting, but
Okay.
plain.
Okay, so we're getting to some fine, some subtle distinctions here. I would think, and again, this is not necessarily a right answer. To me, I think if we were going into this cold, if you hadn't seen this line, right, and we just went straight into it, I think we'd have the same, see the same experience. And would seem to me that just again, the matter of syntax, by putting it this way, it's more as if, oh, the moon is in the lake. Reflected moon in the lake, right? See, if we say moon reflecting on the lake, see, now we're really forced to pay close attention to the way the words work. If we say moon reflecting on the lake, that's implying, okay, we see a moon up in the sky, and then we see the reflection in the lake. If we say reflected moon in the lake, then our whole, where the thing starts, our whole attention is already on the lake and the reflection. And then to me, then it makes more sense that it's a surprise. Then in the third line, we raise, this is all about raising. Now we raise our eyes to see the actual moon, the sky moon in the third line for the first time. And to me, that makes the drama work better. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very subtle. And again, this is why writing haiku is the best exercise for any kind of writing. You have to pay such attention to how the words work.
So in the way that you did it here, would it be correct to say that it seems that reflected moon in the lake is the subject, whereas with moon reflecting on the lake, the moon is the subject.
By subject, do you mean topic or do you mean grammatical subject?
Topic. Well, no, that's, I'm sorry. I'm not a, but if I'm looking at the lake, there's a reflection in the lake, but I'm looking at the lake. So
no, it doesn't. No, we're looking at the moon, and then we have a prepositional phrase telling us where the moon is. It's in the lake.
Reflected moon. Okay.
Again, not necessarily a matter of right or wrong, but to my sensibility, for what it's worth, the writer of this one was just really onto something quite magical, wasn't she or he?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The reflection, and then you raise the eyes, and here's this other thing going on here. And to me, the fulfillment, the execution of that vision that the poet had works a wee bit better this way. But I don't get to decide, and Lisa, you don't get to decide unless it's yours. The poet gets to decide.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Is this the last one? Yeah. Spider rattling to get out of the cup till I throw him out the door. Spider rattling to get out of the cup till I throw him out the door.
Do the spiders rattle?
Say it again.
Do the spiders rattle?
I can't, what's the last word you're saying?
Rattle.
Rattle.
Rattling.
Oh, do spiders rattle? No, they don't, do they?
Unless it's a huge spider. I was
Yeah, if
like
it's a
that.
great big honking spider, maybe.
Right.
But, and yet everyone laughed when I read it. So we all got the experience,
Yeah.
right? We've all done, did everyone got, this is where you take the cup and the piece of paper or the postcard, right? We get all these postcards from real estate companies, wanting to list our house. And that's what we save them for. We're for moving spiders out of the house. So we've all done this. So that's good, right? But the way the spider scurries around in there, maybe scurry. I don't like scurry. It's too cute. I don't know what other verb could we use there? I like rattle. Even it's not
I do too.
it's yeah, right. See, so here's the thing, because one of the things I've been harping on is being literally true, not using figures of speech. That's what we could say is a rule, and so we have all these rules, and then the other rule is when it works, you can break any of the rules.
Maybe scuttles. I mean, there's that image of they're trying to get up the side and they can't make it, but it's a hard word to find.
Yeah.
And rattling is good.
Scuttle. Yeah. What was the other one that we said? Scurrying.
Scurrying.
Yeah. You know what I don't like about scurrying? Or I'm sorry, what did you just say, Cynthia?
Scuttle.
Scuttle. Yeah. A little bit with scuttle, more with scurry. A little too cute, kind of. You know what I mean? Like certain words just seem cute. They seem, I don't know how else to say this, kind of girly. Like tiny. Like tiny is we can't say this anymore, but in the old days we would just say that's a girly word. Everyone would know what we mean, right? It's cute. It's cutesy pie. Whereas rattle, because it's mechanic, it's metallic kind of. What's the kind of little joke in this one? What does the spider want?
Freedom.
Freedom. Does he get freedom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Does he get the freedom he expected? No,
Well.
he gets a much bigger, better freedom. See, to me, that's the Dharma. This one is some heavy duty Dharma, right? We're all rattling around in our life situation, trying to get some freedom, but there's actually just relax, because there's this much bigger freedom that's trying to give itself to you. If you just cooperate a little bit.
It's good.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. I'll put this in the newsletter, but we will not be meeting next Sunday. I will be otherwise committed. I like that word, committed. Sounds like I'm going into a mental institution. You never know.
Where is Yafa?
Where is she?
Yeah.
Why?
Is she going with you?
Is she going into the institution?
No, to keep you out of it.
Keep me out of the institution. She's been doing her damnedest. So far, so good. I'm still sitting here.
Thank God for that.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. Have a good next
Have
week.
Have a good. Enjoy being.